Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Nepal lifts social media ban after protests leave 19 dead. Australia, Finland, France, Japan, South Korea, UK and US call for restraint. UN calls for probe. French Prime Minister François Bayrou will tender his resignation today after Parliament ousts him. Macron, under pressure to resign, will appoint successor soon. In Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam, encounter enters the second day after 2 terrorists gunned down while 2 soldiers martyred. Sources say at least 1 more terrorist hiding in the forest. All members of India's parliament will vote today to elect the next vice president. Election being held between NDA's C.P. Radhakrishnan and opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. Results expected later today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will review flood situation in Punjab and Himachal Pradesh to carry out an aerial assessment of the affected regions. Nepal has lifted a social media ban following protests that resulted in the death of 19 people. Cabinet Minister Prithvi Subha Gurung said the government has rolled back the social media ban imposed last week. However, he added that the government has not regretted the decision to shut down social media platforms. The decision came after 19 people were killed and over 347 were injured in the Gen Z protests on Monday against widespread corruption and the ban. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has said that he was deeply saddened by the mishap occurred in the Gen Z protest. He promised to form an investigation committee to scrutinize the incident that happened during the protest and assured that the family of the deceased will be provided relief and will be provided free treatment to the injured. The social media ban came into effect on 4th of September, targeting platforms that had not registered with Nepal's government despite multiple warnings. Now, this includes popular platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, X and YouTube. The protesters had said that social media ban is a digitally repressive move that curtails free speech and expression. Embassies of Australia, Finland, France, Japan, the Republic of Korea, the United Kingdom and the United States of America in Nepal have issued a joint statement over tensions in Nepal. On social media platform X, they said, and I quote, "We are deeply saddened by the violence seen in Kathmandu and elsewhere in Nepal today, including the tragic loss of life and injury during demonstrations. We extend our sincere condolences to the families of the victims, all those affected, and wish those injured a swift and full recovery. Our governments reaffirm our strong support for the universal rights of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. We urge all parties to exercise maximum restraint, avoid further escalation, and ensure that these fundamental rights are protected." The United Nations also demanded a swift and transparent probe of the violence. UN Rights Office spokeswoman Ravina Shamdasani expressed shock over the killings and injury of the protesters.
We are shocked by the killings and injury of protesters in Nepal today and urge a prompt and transparent investigation. We have received several deeply worrying allegations of unnecessary or disproportionate use of force by security forces during protests organized by youth groups that were demonstrating against corruption and the recent government ban on social media platforms. We call on the authorities to respect and ensure the rights of freedom of peaceful assembly and freedom of expression. All security forces must comply with the basic principles on the use of force and firearms by law enforcement officials. Nepal enjoys a lively democracy and active civic space, and dialogue is the best means to address young people's concerns. We urge reconsideration of measures to regulate social media to ensure that they comply with Nepal's human rights obligations.
DD India Shweta Singh joins us from Kathmandu, Nepal. Shweta, good morning. Now, we've told our viewers that the Nepal government has lifted the social media ban. Has that led to somewhere simmering of the protests? Has the situation improved?
See, actually, as we know, yesterday 19 people died and 347 people are injured. So all the injured who are getting their treatment in the hospital, now the entire attention and focus goes towards those hospitals where these youngsters are getting the treatment because the condition is really not good. It was actually, I would say, pathetic condition. Parents who were not here, they flew to Kathmandu to see their kids. So many the stories, the humanitarian stories have come out that a single child died, father have come to take the body. So these are really not acceptable situation here. But as such, no violence and all and protest condition is seen here because definitely curfew was till night 10 p.m. And as social media ban have been lifted by the government, inquiry committee has been installed. So as such, situation is under control.
Order the
And
situation. Yes, please continue.
And in fact, all the private schools today in Kathmandu Valley is shut down.
All right.
In anticipation if something happens, so for the purpose it is closed.
All right, so the situation is under control, but then also very quickly give us a sense of the condition of the injured who are admitted in the hospitals.
As I informed, there is huge crowd outside the hospital in trauma center. There were already like 14 people who died. Their dead bodies have to be collected. 4 were unidentified, could not identify at that moment. And the injured relatives, friends, and the co-protesters of the injured all crowded around these hospitals, TU nursing hospital. So you see, crowd is now focusing on treatment of these injured people. Government have ensured free treatment to all the injured and have promised relief to the family of dead.
All right, Shweta, thank you so much for joining in with those details. And the stage is all set for vice presidential elections as the members of both the houses of Indian Parliament vote to elect the country's next vice president on Tuesday. NDA nominee and Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan will face opposition's nominee and former Supreme Court Judge B. Sudarshan Reddy in this election. Voting will be held by a secret ballot at the new Parliament building. Voting will begin at 10 a.m. Indian Standard Time and will continue till 5 in the evening. Counting of votes will be held after 6 p.m. onwards. Up next, we understand the process of vice presidential election in India. We'll get to the details on your screens. Vice President is elected by an electoral college consisting of members of both the houses of Parliament. The election will be held under the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. Value of every vote cast in the vice presidential election has the same value. Presently, the lower house has 542 members and the upper house has 239 members. The electorate for the vice presidential election this time is 781 and the majority mark is 391. So we will witness the elections for the vice president today in both houses of Parliament. The stage is all set. And members of both the houses will be voting today to elect the country's next vice president. It will be a C.P. Radhakrishnan versus Sudarshan Reddy contest that will be witnessed for the post of vice president today. The voting will begin at 10 a.m. and will conclude at 5 p.m. Also, the counting of votes will be held 6 p.m. onwards. All right, our correspondent Dibendu is joining us to get us more. Dibendu, the stage is all set for the vice presidential election, though it is a little too early to contemplate, but how do we expect the day to pan out?
Well, Preeti, of course, this vice presidential election was necessitated after the resignation of the erstwhile Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar due to his health reasons. And of course, the voting will begin at 10 p.m. Both the opposition as well as the
10
ruling
a.m.,
NDA
yes.
have both, I beg your pardon, it's 10 a.m. both the opposition as well as the ruling India, in fact, the opposition India alliance as well as the ruling NDA both have filed their candidates to contest. So it will be, Preeti, it's evident with the fact that the NDA candidate CP Radhakrishnan is going to win because they have the numbers on their side. The opposition's, the candidate from the opposition side is just a mere symbolic contest, perhaps because they don't have the numbers. The opposition, the ruling NDA, perhaps has a number over 431. Given the fact that the YSRCP has also pledged support for CP Radhakrishnan. So therefore, this is almost a done deal, and CP Radhakrishnan is expected to win this election, and we'll see all the parliamentarians casting their vote starting 10 a.m. Inside the Parliament complex when the voting begins. And the Prime Minister is also expected to cast his vote early in the morning itself when the voting begins. This we'll see. The stage is being set with the PC Modi, who is the chairman of the, who is the Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha. He is the returning officer. He has made all the arrangements for the parliamentarians who will be coming to cast their vote, which begins again from 10 a.m. So therefore, it is just a mere formality contest between the India Alliance candidate and the NDA candidate CP Radhakrishnan. Preeti.
All right, Dibendu, for the benefit of our viewers, explain to us, the significance of the post of Vice President for the country, the duties which the 15th Vice President will perform after after the contest ends and the winner is announced and the post is not left vacant.
Preeti, the Vice President is, of course, an important post. Not that, but with the fact that the Vice President is the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha, he is responsible for conducting the smooth business and functioning of the upper house, which is the Rajya Sabha, and the responsibilities are clearly set in the Constitution. It's a constitutional post where the Vice President will be conducting the businesses. And of course, if the Vice President plays an important role when, if and when the President's post is vacant, the Vice President takes over. And, because so that there is no constitutional crisis. And therefore, this makes it more important. And of course, the most important part of, the Vice President's role is, as I said, is the smooth functioning of the Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house, because he's the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha and therefore an important member in terms of the parliamentary democracy. Preeti.
All right, Dibendu, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent Dibendu telling us more about the contest for the post of Vice President today. The polling will be held at 10 a.m. It will begin at 10 a.m. and will continue till 5 p.m. We'll keep you updated. Let's turn focus to Jammu and Kashmir, where the encounter between security forces and terrorists in South Kashmir's Kulgam district entered its second day with fresh exchange of fire reported since morning. Officials said the operation, which was suspended last evening due to heavy rain and darkness, resumed early today despite adverse weather conditions. So far, 2 terrorists have been killed, while 2 army personnel have lost their lives. Security forces have sealed off the area within a 4-kilometer radius of the encounter site, restricting the movement of vehicles and locals to ensure that the trapped terrorists cannot escape. According to sources, at least 1 more terrorist is believed to be hiding in the nearby forest area. The operation is underway. All right, our correspondent Salman Qazi joins us with more on the phone line. Salman, get us the latest. We tell our viewers that the encounter has resumed. What more can you add?
We have been given some preliminary identification of the killed, one of the killed terrorists. He's, I mean, this is not officially, but our sources are saying it's Rahmani, Pakistan. And I'll add on that yesterday 2 terrorists were killed in this encounter, and one of them is a Pakistani, and in the morning there has been a fresh exchange of fire between the terrorists and the security forces, and And in the area, it's a very heavily forested area, and the weather is very adverse. It has been raining continuously. So this is posing a lot of challenge for continuation of the operation. But however, the operation has been continued and the whole area has been sealed, and there has been an intermittent exchange of fire between the security forces and the terrorists.
All right, Salman, do we know the estimated number of terrorists who are hiding in the forest?
We don't know for sure, but obviously we have been, since yesterday there had been, our reporters from the ground have been telling us that it's supposed to be a group of 3. So obviously the guess is 1, but there could be more also. As in these cases, there is never absolute information because obviously it's an operation which is intelligence-based operation, but nevertheless, numbers are not exact. Numbers can never be known. But since there has been a firing, so it's safe to assume that at least there is 1 more terrorist that's hiding in the area.
All right, Salman, also get us more details of the region surrounding, the encounter site. Though through our visuals we see it is a heavily forested region, but do we also have, people residing in this region where the encounter site is, where the encounter is currently happening?
Yeah, there would be obviously people, but it's not a heavily populated area, but there would be people, and the security forces would have moved some of those people to safer places as per their operating procedures. This place is 8 kilometers away from the Kulgam district, Gudar area where this encounter is taking place, 8 kilometers away from the district headquarters of the Kulgam. So obviously it is a very heavily forested area, but that does not preclude that there is a population. There would be some population, but it's not a very heavily populated area.
All right, Salman, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And that was our correspondent Salman Qazi telling us that the encounter is continuing. We will keep you updated. Meanwhile, we'll turn focus to the weather updates from across the country. India braces for a week of intense weather activity with heavy rains, gusty winds and flood risks sweeping across multiple regions. From the deserts of Rajasthan to the hills of the northeast, nature is making its presence felt. In the western part of the country, Saurashtra and Kutch regions of Gujarat brace for extremely heavy rainfall of over 21 centimeters on September 8th, with continued showers on the 9th of September. South Rajasthan and West Rajasthan will also see intense downpour amid the effects of depression. States like Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar and West Bengal will experience steady rain through mid-September, with some areas expecting very heavy showers. Among the northeast regions, Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and nearby regions will see heavy to very heavy rainfall till September 14th. Over the next few days, coastal areas of the states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are going to experience rain and gusty winds up to 40 kilometers per hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit flood-affected states of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh on Tuesday to take stock of the situation. Prime Minister Modi will visit Pathankot and Gurdaspur in Punjab before proceeding to the flood-hit Himachal Pradesh. He will also conduct an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas in Gurdaspur. Prime Minister will hold discussions with senior officials and chair a review meeting on the ground situation. He will also interact with flood-affected persons as well as NDRF, SDRF and Aapda Mitra team. In Himachal Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will conduct an aerial survey of disaster-affected areas. He will also meet officials and chair a high-level review meeting on the situation in Kangra. The Prime Minister's direct review is aimed at closely monitoring the relief and rehabilitation efforts to support the people of the two states during this difficult time. Our correspondent Gurmeet Singh is joining us from Jalandhar, Punjab to get us more. Gurmeet, good morning. To begin with, get us a sense of the current situation there in Punjab and also the relief and rehabilitation efforts, even as we tell our viewers that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be making an aerial survey today to inspect the damage caused to the state because of floods.
Preeti, right now we are reporting from Gurdaspur, where the Prime Minister is scheduled to visit today and take stock of situation on ground. And I would like to show you the visuals over here. I'm at the Bamni village over here, which is quite near to the Makoda Patan area. First of all, you'll see right behind me there is a small canal over here, and just adjacent to this canal, both sides there are the fields of the farmers which were inundated during the floods over here. And right now the water has receded, but there is no respite from the challenges being posed by the after effects of the floods over here. I'd like to show you the other sides also. I'm standing on a bridge over here, and on the other side also this canal is coming from here. It's a natural canal, and on the both sides you'll find the fields of the farmers. And the third side, which is quite important area, that is Makoda Patan. Makoda Patan is an area where 7 villages were disconnected from the rest of the country. This road goes towards the Makoda Patan, which is just about 1.5 kilometers from here. 7 villages were disconnected with the rest of the country. Now the water has receded from there also, and the embankments which got breached over there, they are being strengthened by the farmers at this point in time. So this is about Gurdaspur, and remember, Gurdaspur is worst affected area where the floods have damaged large number of the crops, and the people, their livelihood has been devastated by the flood waters. And right now what we are getting as an update is from Ludhiana also. In Ludhiana at the moment there are 2 places called Sasrali and Boothgarh where the embankments at the Satluj river got weakened, and since last 4 days the farmers, the villagers, the locals, administration and the army teams are trying to fortify and strengthen the embankments at both these points. And we are getting the latest update from Patiala also that 3 places specifically, one is Samana, where 5 to 10 villages have been submerged into the flood waters, and the farmers of these villages are claiming that about 1,300 acres of the land has been submerged into the flood waters. The crops destroyed full-fledgedly, and they are asking for compensation at this point in time. And these villages are Dharmedi, Sasi Gujra, Bhagwanpur, Sasi Brahmana, and all these villages are there. There's a belt of these villages which got inundated in the flood waters. Secondly, there is a second point in Patiala, that is Ghanor area, where the several villages are still inundated. However, water receded in other parts like Amritsar and Gurdaspur, but the situation is grim at Patiala on the banks of Ghaggar river and Tangri river over there. So the farmers and the villagers over there also, they are trying to strengthen the embankments, and at this point in time what we are picking up, that situation is grim at 3 areas of Patiala. And the third area is Patra, where again a few villages are submerged into the flood waters. And there is another input that we are getting in is from Firozpur and Fazilka, where incessant rains have caused the flood waters, and the flood water at the villages over there near the international border is still about 4 to 5 feet in the fields of the farmers. And the district administration is expecting that another 4 to 5 days the water may get recede, and there may be a respite for the locals over there. And there the flood waters are still there due to 3 reasons: due to the Habib Ke embankment getting breached over there, and second reason is that Hari Ke the headworks is constantly releasing waters over there, and that's why the water level is getting a rise. And the third reason is that it is quite close to the international border, and the Pakistan's Punjab is also reeling under floods at this point in time, and the flood water is coming from Pakistan towards the Indian side, and that is creating havoc in Firozpur and Fazilka area at this point in time. If we talk about all three dams in Punjab, then in the Bhakra Dam, the water level is below the danger mark, and it is somewhere about 1677.39 feet at this moment. And the danger mark in the Bhakra Dam is 1680 feet. And if you talk about the Pong Dam, which is quite important for this area because the flood waters came just due to that, and the water of the Pong Dam comes to the Ravi River, and Ravi and Beas both were swollen at the times of the flood. So Pong Dam, where the water level is 1391.33 feet at this point in time, which is above 11 feet above the danger mark. The danger mark in the Pong Dam is 1380 feet. And the third important dam, that is Ranjit Sagar Dam, where the water level at this point in time is 524.5 meters, which is again about 2 meters below the danger mark. So right now, the situation is grim in few areas, but the water started receding, and now the people are waiting when they would get the compensation from the government, and the after effects of the floods are being contemplated.
All right, so Prime Minister will make, yes.
And, on ground, the medical teams and the health department may be seen active at this point in time.
All right, so the situation is grim. The Prime Minister will be making a visit to Punjab. He will be taking an aerial survey to review the relief and rescue and rehabilitation efforts. Thank you so much, Gurmeet, as of now, for joining in with those detailed inputs coming in from Punjab. And in Uttarakhand, a massive landslide struck the Gangotri National Highway near Dharasu Bend in Uttarkashi district, sending an entire mountainside crashing onto the road. Another landslide near Nalupani buried the highway under debris, bringing traffic to a complete halt. Fortunately, no travellers were present at the time, averting a major tragedy. Ground visuals from DD India show the trees, boulders and rubble scattered across the route. In response, the BRO has deployed machinery to clear the wreckage and restore connectivity. With post-rain sunshine triggering slope failures, authorities have warned of continued risk in the region. Mauritian Prime Minister Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramagulam will begin his 8-day India visit from today. This will be the first overseas bilateral visit of Prime Minister Dr. Ramagulam to India in his present term. He had earlier visited India in May 2014 as the only non-SAARC leader invited to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. During the visit to India, Prime Minister Dr. Ramagulam will call on President Draupadi Murmu and hold discussions with Prime Minister Narendra Modi to further the enhanced strategic partnership. Prime Minister Dr. Ramagulam will also visit Mumbai, Varanasi, Ayodhya and Tirupati. In Mumbai, he would be attending a business event. The visit of Prime Minister Dr. Ramagulam to India, following the visit of Prime Minister to Mauritius in March 2025, will advance the strong and enduring bonds between India and Mauritius. The European Union's Political and Security Committee, comprising of the Chair Ambassador Delphine Pronk and 27 EU member states ambassadors based in Brussels, would be visiting India from 10th to 14th of September. During their first visit to India, the committee will hold strategic discussions with high-level Indian government officials, private sector defense representatives, civil society organizations and leading think tanks. This extensive engagement aims to provide a comprehensive assessment of policy priorities while exploring future avenues for enhancing cooperation on key foreign policy matters, security and defense, particularly in the lead-up to the upcoming EU-India summit in early 2026. The European Union is one of India's largest trading partners and investors, with both sides aiming to conclude a free trade agreement by the end of this year. The EU and India, as large pluralistic democracies, share a strong commitment to upholding the rule of law, human rights and democratic governance. Bangladesh will export 1,200 tons of Hilsa fish to India, marking the upcoming Durga Puja. The Ministry of Commerce issued an order on Monday for the conditional export of Hilsa fish at a minimum rate of 12.5 US dollars per kg. Hilsa, considered a delicacy in eastern India, especially in West Bengal, is largely sourced from the rivers in Bangladesh. In recent years, Dhaka had imposed restrictions on its exports to protect domestic availability and conserve the species. However, as part of a goodwill gesture, the Bangladeshi government has once again granted permission for limited shipment to India. In Sri Lanka, the cultural arm of the High Commission of India is observing the birth centenary of legendary Indian musician Dr. Bhupen Hazarika with a special event. As part of the celebrations, the High Commissioner of India, Santosh Jha, released the Sinhala and Tamil versions of Hazarika's iconic song Manohe Manohar Babe, often described as the anthem of humanity. The event at the Indian Cultural Centre highlighted Hazarika's enduring legacy as a poet, singer and composer whose works continue to inspire generations. The release of this song in Sinhala and Tamil underlines the shared cultural bonds of South Asia and reflects the universality of Hazarika's message of compassion and humanity. The release is likely to deepen cultural connection while celebrating a voice that transcended borders. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News. A quick relook at the top stories now. Nepal lifts social media ban after protests leave 19 dead. Australia, Finland, France, Japan, South Korea, UK and US call for restraint. UN calls for probe. French Prime Minister François Bayrou will tender his resignation today after Parliament ousts him. Macron, under pressure to resign, will appoint successor soon. In Jammu and Kashmir's Kulgam, encounter enters second day after two terrorists gunned down while two soldiers martyred. Sources say at least one more terrorist hiding in the forest. All members of India's parliament will vote today to elect the next vice president. The election is being held between NDA's CP Radhakrishnan and opposition Sudarshan Reddy. Results expected later today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will review flood situation in Punjab and Himachal Pradesh to carry out an aerial assessment of the affected regions. French Prime Minister François Bayrou lost a confidence vote in Parliament on Monday, ending his 9 months in office during a period of chaos in the country's Parliament, the National Assembly. In a vote in the National Assembly, 364 deputies voted in favour of no confidence in the government, while just 194 voted expressing their confidence. Bayrou will submit his resignation to President Emmanuel Macron on Tuesday. He was the fourth Prime Minister in 2 years under President Emmanuel Macron, whose second term in office has been overshadowed by political instability. Bayrou became the first premier in the history of modern France to be ousted in a confidence vote rather than a no confidence vote. All right, DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us from New Delhi. Akshay, we've given a sense of the political turmoil in France. What next is to be expected?
Well, as of now, there are now arrangements being made it's inside the French government to replace Prime Minister Bayrou after his ousting after the confidence motion, and now we have the defense minister, the finance minister, the labor minister, all running for the top post. However, the crisis remains as the 3.6 trillion euros worth of national debt that was at the center stage of the sweeping reforms that were being made by the former prime minister. That the problem still remains, and as of now, the crisis that has been going on as far as this national debt crisis is concerned, that still remains to be answered by any politician inside France. So the situation is complicated as of now. No party has a clear majority. The present government that was running under Prime Minister Bayrou was also running on coalition, and similar kind of permutations and combinations will have to be made as far as forming the government, or rather making the government survive for the next few months are concerned. However, what we are seeing in France is a collapse of the government, and we can expect the opposition parties to mount more pressure on the government. However, the biggest problem that was the debt, that is a question that still remains, and the French politicians are still presently are scrambling to to save the government that is in power. And now, whether there will be some sort of changes in alliance, shift in alliance, and whether the parties will move towards the more right parties of Ms. Le Pen or not, that is a big question. But the situation in France, that still remains quite complicated, and it remains unclear that whether it will be the defense minister that is the top choice for President Emmanuel Macron, or the other former ministers of the government, including the finance minister, whether they'll be able to cling to power. That's a big question. And how they will solve the national debt crisis, that is still far from being answered, because the latest attempt that has been done to solve the situation has only complicated the matters more, and has put a question mark on the survivability of the government as we know it in France. Back to you, Preeti.
All right, Akshay, now Bayrou is the fourth prime minister to have, resigned in 2 years under President Emmanuel Macron. Also, when we talk of this political instability, what is the future that awaits President Macron, because his tenure has been marked by this political instability? What next for President Macron?
Well, that's a $1 million question, Preeti, because with the kind of instability, it seems that President Macron will also be under a lot of pressure from the opposition, at least, with sort of providing a more stable government to the French people. After we have seen that the last attempt that was made to provide a stable government and bring some major changes was when snap elections were announced in 2024, after which you have rightly said that it is the second resignation in a matter of years, and what we are seeing is a continuous political instability that is that's just what we are seeing right now is a culmination of the instability that has prevailed for the last 2 years. And now with the situation getting more and more complicated, the question mark will also be on the legitimacy of French President Emmanuel Macron, and how he's going to continue with his own position as well as with the government. And if in case the government gets into further collapse, it will also put more and more pressure on President Emmanuel Macron, and will give more power to the opposition parties to call for major political changes, as well as sweeping financial reforms that have been at the center stage of this entire crisis.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for joining in with those details. That was our correspondent Akshay Dongre telling us more about the political instability in France and how do we expect the days ahead to pan out. We'll turn focus to Brazil now. Brazil's Supreme Federal Court is entering a decisive week in the trial of 8 high-profile defendants accused of plotting a coup following the 2022 elections. Now, the trial will resume on Tuesday and is expected to conclude by Friday, 12th of September. A simple majority, 3 out of 5 votes, is required for a guilty or not guilty verdict. If disagreement arises only regarding sentencing and not on the defendant's guilt, only declaratory appeals may be filed. Once all appeals are resolved, sentences become final and must be enforced immediately. The case centers on what the court refers to as the core group behind the attempted coup. Defendants include former President Bolsonaro, Generals Walter Braga Neto and Augusto Heleno, Admiral Olmeir Garnia, former Justice Minister Anderson Torres, former Defense Minister Paulo Sergio Nogueira, and federal lawmaker Alexandre Ramagem, a former director of Brazil's intelligence agency. Also on trial is Army Lieutenant Colonel Mauro Cid, Bolsonaro's former aide-de-camp and now a key witness for the prosecution. Norway's Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre has secured a second term on Monday, while the populist right achieved its best ever election result. Norway's five-party left-wing bloc won a narrow majority of 87 of the 169 seats in parliament, while Progress secured 48 seats in the 169-seat parliament. The election was driven by rising living costs and international tensions in Ukraine and Gaza. Addressing the crowd, Støre thanked his supporters and said that the victory showed it's possible for social democratic parties to win elections even with right-wing forces on the rise in Europe.
We had a goal in this election, and that was re-election and a continued Labour government. We are going to lead the country finances safely and responsibly so that people's everyday finances are safe and they can afford more.
Meanwhile, Norway's Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide said that the foreign policy priorities would remain the same, as did Defence Minister Tore Sandvik.
When it comes to priorities, of course, as Foreign Minister, I will continue what we're doing in a strong support for Ukraine, a strong position on Israel-Palestine, trying to stop the war, get humanitarian aid in, but also continue to work for a political solution and to have a consistent policy of international law and full adherence to international law, which I think has been helpful in winning this election, because this is something people care about.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security on Monday announced it was launching an immigration crackdown in Chicago dubbed Operation Midway Blitz. The operation has been launched in the honor of Cathy Ibrahim, a 20-year-old who was killed in January this year in a hit-and-run car crash with a Guatemalan man who was in country illegally. Now, the ICE operation will target the criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois. This latest announcement about Illinois follows a summer in which the Trump administration has targeted Democratic-led cities for increased immigration enforcement and the National Guard deployments. It also follows an earlier announcement from the DHS that said that it was launching a new immigration enforcement effort in Massachusetts. Meanwhile, National Guard troops, some of them armed, are still patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. In a significant update on international trade policy, Japanese negotiator Roizel Akazawa announced that the United States is set to lower tariffs on Japanese goods, including automobiles, by September 16th. The updated tariff rates were established by a U.S. Federal Register document issued on September 9th, following President Trump's executive order, more than a month after the two countries reached an agreement in July. Akazawa said that the revised tariff rates on Japanese goods will take effect within 7 days from its publication. President Trump's recent order has dispelled existing uncertainties about the timeline for applying the 15% reduced tariffs on Japanese cars, bringing clarity to trade relations between the two nations. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya caught up with Huma Qureshi in Toronto on her role in the film Bayan. Cricket Asia Cup 2025 to kick off in Abu Dhabi today, with Afghanistan facing Hong Kong in the opener. India to begin campaign against UAE on Wednesday. Revelers get together in Brazil to participate in Londrina Festival, marking the annual celebration of the Japanese culture.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Newshour. Let's get to updates from the world of entertainment. Now, talking of the Toronto Film Festival, Huma Qureshi plays the lead role of Ruhi Kartar in the film Bayan, written and directed by Bikas Ranjan Mishra. The film was screened at the Toronto International Film Festival. DD India's Manun Bhattacharya caught up with Huma Qureshi in Toronto. Take a look.
Huma Qureshi, who plays Ruhi, a determined police detective in Bayan, which has premiered at the 51st Toronto International Film Festival, is right here with us. Welcome, Ruhi, Huma, to DD India.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is ours. It's a complex character, a nuanced, layered one. Did you feel a sense of connect, and what was your process of preparing for it, the acting process, like we say?
Well, I loved the script the moment I heard it, and I really wanted to be a part of it. And I'm so grateful to Bikas and Shiladitya, my director and producer, who brought me this wonderful script. And I think it's such a powerful story. It's really about this female police officer taking on this perpetrator, who's doing these sexual crimes against women, and how she brings him down. And I just absolutely love the story.
We've seen that you've been doing meaningful roles across films, and is that a conscious choice that you make? Is that your approach to filmmaking, a pretty serious one?
Not really. I think I want to do a bit of everything. I want to do a fun film like Monica, My Darling. I want to do like a song in a film if I choose to. I want to do a meaningful character like Maharani. I want to do Tarla. I want to do everything. I'm just a very greedy actor.
Right. And is it your first time here at the Toronto International Film Festival?
Yes, my first time at the Toronto Film Festival, yes.
And how is the kind of reception that you've got to your world premiere?
The reception has been wonderful. We had our world premiere yesterday, and oh my God, the response was phenomenal. We have 2 more screenings here, and they all are going houseful, and it's just very special.
There is a deeper connection that you have, a deeper involvement, if I may say, that you have to the film, because you're not just a lead actor there. So tell us about the 2 hats that you're wearing of an executive producer, an actor, and maybe more.
Well, every film has a journey, and when this script came to me, I realized that they have been trying to put this film together for a very long time, and it was, of course, it's an indie film, very, very small budgets, and I realized if I charge them what I normally charge, perhaps the film wouldn't get made. And I realized that, I wouldn't be charging my fee, I'll come on board as an EP, and I'll try and understand what this film needs to get made and to get released, and we're so grateful that TIFF has happened, Busan has happened, and the film is getting so much appreciation and love already.
So that was Huma Qureshi speaking exclusively to DD India with cameraman YK Loknath. This is Manun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
And from entertainment, we turn focus to sports now. The 2025th edition of Asia Cup in T20 international format will start from Tuesday with the campaign opener between a rising Afghanistan side and Hong Kong at Abu Dhabi. The Afghan Atalan have made 1 previous appearance in a T20 International Asia Cup coming in 2022, where they were eliminated in the Super 4 stage with 2 wins and 3 losses so far in their Asia Cup history. Just like Afghanistan, Hong Kong have managed 1 previous appearance, which came in 2022, where they failed to get out of the group stage, having lost both their games. India will begin their campaign against UAE. They then will take on arch rivals Pakistan in the marquee encounter on September 14th in Dubai. Their final group stage match will be against Oman at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium in Abu Dhabi. All right, DD India's Narayan Singh joins us to get us more from New Delhi. Narayan, good morning. Now, both Hong Kong and Afghanistan will face each other after their very naive performances earlier in this Asia Cup edition. Tell us, what do we expect?
Priti, we can say that starting the Asia Cup with this contest, we can't say that. We can say that it's not a blockbuster clash, but it's very 2 different cricketing philosophies will come face to face. We know that Afghanistan, in the recent past, they have surprised many big countries in the world of cricket. And if we take a look, their journey in the T20 World Cup that took place in USA in 2024, they performed fantastically well there. But recently, on Sunday in the Tri-Series in UAE, they faced a heavy defeat against Pakistan. So they will try to change that thing here. And talking about the other team, Hong Kong, we can say that definitely an Afghanistan side is more more acute, more balanced, and more technically sound than the Hong Kong side. But they will also try to present their case because the Asia Cup, the top-notch teams of the Asia are participating here, and it's an opener, and they will like to present their case here. But all in all, we can say that Afghanistan is a team. They have many fantastic players. Rashid Khan, their captain, playing all over the world in the different cricket leagues, and he showed the world that what kind of bowler he is, and also the Noor Ahmed, the way he is bowling at the age of 20, he's a proven match winner for his team. We know that for CSK, he was the top wicket taker and showed his, we can say, the class in the world's top league, that is Indian Premier League. So Rahmatullah Gurbaz is their main batsman, and we know that this Afghanistan team is known for their bowling skill rather than the batting skill. But today, we know that it's a match that will favor Afghanistan, because we know that at this pitch they have won, I think, 5 matches here. So it's going to be an advantage Afghanistan here. But overall, Asia Cup, we know that it's all about the India and Pakistan contest that will take place tomorrow. And we are hoping that once again, in the last time when the tournament was played, it was in 50-over format, and this time around it's 20-over format. And India, we know that they are the champions of the T20 World Cup. They will try to continue that momentum, because in the past, after that, India continuously winning the series and winning the number of T20 matches. But there are 2 changes in their lineup that we can say they have to adjust.
All right, Narayan, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those updates. And the Indian men's football team got the better of Oman 3-2 on penalties to finish third in the CAFA Nations Cup on Monday, beating its higher-ranked opponents from West Asia for the first time ever. The match finished 1 each in regulation time after Udanta Singh scored the equalizer for India. In the shootout, Oman missed its first 2 chances, while Gurpreet Singh Sandhu saved the final penalty as India emerged victorious against its higher-ranked opponent in the 3rd and 4th place classification match. Manchester City on Monday revealed that they have reached a settlement with the Premier League in their dispute over the league's associated party transactions rules. City said that they accepted the current APT rules, which regulate commercial deals between clubs and companies linked to their owners, if deemed over fair market value, are valid and binding. With this development, both parties now have agreed to terminate legal proceedings. The case is separate from the charges City are facing over alleged breaches of financial rules. The current APT rules were adopted in November after the majority of the English top-flight clubs voted in favour of some amendments to the previous rules, which were also challenged by City. Manager Thomas Tuchel has warned England to beware of the group rival Serbia in the World Cup qualifier on Tuesday. His men made it 4 wins from 4 in Group K of qualifying, with a 2-0 win over Andorra on Saturday, but next face a much tougher assignment in Belgrade. They currently lead second-placed Serbia by 5 points at the top of the group, although Dragan Skovic's side have a game in hand. England also face Serbia at Euro 2024, winning their opening game of the tournament. The coach hopes to end a 60-year wait for a major men's international trophy for England at next year's tournament in the United States, Mexico and Canada. On to badminton. 2 times Olympic medalist PV Sindhu will lead India's charge at the Hong Kong Open badminton tournament starting on Tuesday. Sindhu will take on European Championships silver medalist Lynn Kristoffersen of Denmark in her opening round match. Sindhu's quarter-final appearance at the BWF World Championships in Paris last month was her best run in any major tournament this year, alongside the season-opening Indian Open. In the men's singles action, Lakshya Sen will also seek a good run, having struggled to produce his best this year. He will be joined by his compatriots H.S. Pranoy and Ayush Shetty, who is the only Indian to win a BWF Tour title this year with victory at the US Open in June. Former world number 1 Kidambi Srikanth will begin his campaign in the qualification round against Tharoon Manepalli. India's challenge in the men's doubles will be spearheaded by Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty. They will be keen to overcome their semi-final jinx at the Hong Kong Open. The Indian duo have been knocked out of the last 4 in the 5 different tournaments this year, including the World Championships. Meanwhile, Dhruv Kapila, Tanisha Crasto and Rohan Kapoor Rutvika Gade will be in action in the mixed doubles section. Only 2 Indians have won the Hong Kong Open. Prakash Padukone clinched the inaugural men's singles title in 1982, while Saina Nehwal took the women's crown in 2010. Festival goers in Brazil danced to the rhythm of Japan as Londrina hosted its annual celebration of Japanese culture. Pop icon Aikawa Nanese performed live, blending Bon Odori tradition with Brazilian flair. Just to let viewers know that Brazil is home to the largest Japanese diaspora outside Japan, and the vibrant cultural exchange marked 130 years of diplomatic ties between Brazil and Japan. Alright, on that note, we'll end this edition of DD India Newshour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Newshour.